Welcome, everyone, to this evening's episode of the Hamirpur Tales Hour. And we are very blessed and fortunate to have with us two guests, Susan White first, and then followed by Dr. James Hastings. And Susan had the good fortune of being in Hamirpur. I believe it was in 74, and look forward to hearing about that. She also um, encountered Pukar, and she'll tell us about that stateside, first in New York and then at the Maine Mela. So, Susan, how did you get to Hamirpur? How did you decide to go, and who did you go with, and what was your experience like there in Hamirpur?
Well, I decided to go. I was actually living in Berkeley for a few months and I met Gil Alvarado and he was telling me all about Hamiapur. He said, why don't you, I'm going to go to the Mela in Hamiapur. And so I said, sure, I'll go too. And so, so I guess we flew into Delhi. And I remember the trip was very treacherous. I mean, the main things I remember about it is going on a barge across a river, with a man, it's just a small wooden barge with a man with a stick, and that was a little bit scary. And then we went on a bullock cart, which was the most uncomfortable thing. It seemed to go on for a long time. And then we went on a man-driven rickshaw. I think that was the final one. And then we got there. I think we did stop.
Barge,
What?
going back to the barge for a second,
Okay.
where you got on the barge, and was it the Betwa River that you crossed?
Maybe. I don't know. Back then I didn't remember any names of anything. Yeah. I mean, it was like a raft. I don't know if it's called a barge or a raft, but I was thinking, what did I get myself into? But anyway, so we finally got there. I think we did stop at some other Indian Baba people's house where we might have even spent the night. I can't remember that. I should talk to Gil about that. But I don't remember much about that. But when we finally got to Hamirpur, the first thing I remember is they showed us a big vat of water. There was a drought, and it was the water that they saved for us for a year or something to drink, and it was like yellow, and all this stuff was floating in it. And I guess they boiled it. I don't know, but and then the next thing I remember is meeting Pukar. I mean, not yes, Pukar. And he was supposedly on his deathbed because he had a heart attack or something. And when we went in, family, all these people were around his bed, family and other people, friends. And some people were crying and they were so upset. And that's how I first met Pukar. And then, and they thought he could be dying. Yeah. And when we were upset about that. And then the next day I hear that he jumped out of bed and said, I'm doing the Mela, And they said, what? You just had a heart attack. You're supposed to be dying. We thought you were dying. This is how I remember it. And then he went on to do the Mela. They called it a Mela, right? In Hamirpur.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a Hindi word for festival.
Yeah. I always called it festival, but then I decide to change it to Mela. Yeah. And so yeah, there was a bunch of us Westerners. Oh, and they showed where we slept was a big room with just mats, made out of straw or something, and with a whole bunch of other people. And so yeah, I met Keshav Nigam, but that might have been after the festival, after the Mela. Anyway, I can't remember that much about the Mela, but one thing I do remember is that Annie Bell and they all of a sudden asked us out of the blue, will we sing a song? And we had about 2 minutes to think of a song. And I had been singing in my head, row, row, row your boat. And that's what we sang. I don't know why, because we thought it was so spiritual. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Life is but a dream. Anyway, so yeah, I'm sorry I can't remember much about the festival. I might have ridden on a elephant, but I just remember a lot of singing and dancing, and I don't remember that much. I was probably very, very tired. But I do remember how strong and powerful a person Pukar seemed to be. And the next thing I remember is meeting Keshav Nigam at where he lived. And I guess it was right in Hamirpur. And I was very taken with him. He was a very beautiful person. He was so peaceful and loving. And you just felt like I felt like he was God realized or something. He just seemed so conscious. And I was very taken with, I think we were all very taken with him. And then we stayed at Maristana, where Baba declared his avatarhood, I believe.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and it was a little hut. We stayed overnight. Some of us did overnight in that hut. And
Wow.
yeah. I mean, this is how I remember it. I sometimes I think, was I just dreaming that, or no? I'm quite sure we spent the night there. And then I had a dream there of a tiger walking by. It just seemed very significant. But the feeling in that hut was amazing. I don't know if I slept very much, but it was just a very, very powerful, amazing place. And then in the morning, when we got up and went out of the hut, the women, the hut was up on a little hill, and down below the hill was a well where the women were getting water for the day, and they were dancing and singing, and it just seemed so otherworldly and beautiful. That really stuck in my mind. And what else do I remember? I might have told you everything I remember.
Many others who went to Hamirpur in the early 70s, either
who
for one and his
what, who went there?
other Westerners, other
Oh,
Baba,
yes.
and many of them reported to have gotten quite sick while there.
Yeah.
How did you maintain your health while you were there?
I got sick at the very end, and then the ride back to Ahmednagar was like a 24-hour or more train ride. And
Yes.
we we couldn't get seats, so we sat next to the bathrooms. And it wasn't a nice train at all. And we sat next to the bathrooms and I was on a grate, a metal grate on the floor. And and I was sick and I had dysentery. And it was good. I was by the bathrooms, but yeah, I got quite sick. I hate to say, but I
Yeah.
had gotten dysentery the year before in 1973 and in India, my first trip to India too, because I ate in people's huts and things. I did
Mhm.
everything you weren't supposed to do.
I have a question for Susan.
Okay.
And that is when you were in the village where Maristana is,
Yeah.
did the people that were living there, did they sing a rendition of uh, uh, let's see, how does it go? Sachitananda, Paramananda, Meher Baba, Vidyananda. Did they sing that?
Oh, probably, but
Yeah,
I
because
can't be 100% sure.
it kind of originated there.
Oh,
They
it
did
did?
sing it when we were there.
Oh,
I was there the year
it
before.
does ring a bell. It does
Yeah.
ring a bell. Yeah. And Gil might really know because he went there twice too, or maybe more. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. But Keshav Nigam, yeah, I should really look up more about him. I don't know a lot about him.
Well, posthumously, his daughter, Mayor Jyoti,
Mhm,
uh, a PhD biochemist, some sort of doctor,
mhm.
she published his biography,
Oh,
and I would highly recommend that you read it, and that we had a read along on Baba Zoom where we read his biography.
mhm,
Diana Goodhart had hosted that,
mhm,
and it's probably in the library.
mhm,
Those meetings were probably recorded. So,
mhm.
but Keshav's biography is very amazing. I read a little bit of it most days, and
Oh, wow.
yeah.
You remember the
Um,
title, Alan Ray, what the title is?
Do you think it's at Shariar Press?
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Oh, okay.
No, it's very hard to find, and um, um, it's on the
No,
trust website,
Okay.
and um,
It's
that's
also
the best
on
place
the
to-
at the center, at the library. You can take it out at the
Oh,
library.
good. Oh, good. I think I'll do that. Yeah.
The online version is on the trust website, though. You can read it, the PDF online.
Hmm.
Is that what you're saying, Diana?
Oh,
yeah,
it is?
because that's wait, yeah, because that's what we did. We had it and we read it. Alan Ray had his own paper copy, lucky
yeah,
guy.
it's called My Life Story with Avatar Mayor Baba.
Hmm,
Keshav Narayan Nigam.
hmm.
It's a
That-
wonderful read. He writes so beautifully. He was very good with language. He was a Hindi scholar. Had
Oh,
an amazing story, and it's so beautiful to me to hear what you say about being so impressed with him because you
yeah.
got that from this book. Read it.
I-
Read it.
Okay, I will. Yeah, definitely will. Um, well, should I tell about when we met Pukar at the airport in New York?
Before you do, you had shared with me something about indirectly participating when Irwin Luck went around and filmed interviews
Yeah.
in Hamirpur. So you weren't part of his crew, but
No.
you had some involvement.
Yes, I helped make it happen. I donated my grandmother had died recently and left me some money, and so I paid for the whole thing.
Wow.
That was my involvement. And back then, videos were really expensive, you know. It was a new type of video that just came out, which is obsolete now. But I went over with them all on the plane to India, and you know, and then I don't know if there were other crew there too that went, you know, around India and took tapes of I took videos of the Mandalay too. Yeah. But now Irwin's really done nothing with it because it was obsolete and it's just been in a freezer. I was going to talk to him again about it. Has he done anything? You know, he
Yeah,
did.
no,
I
he
think
did. I
he,
was involved. I was involved in that. He did transfer all those original ones. We had to acquire some of the old video equipment, but all of those have been
really,
digitized. They're now digital. Yeah. So they,
the because his first time he did it a time before with film
oh,
and
okay.
things, but I
So
didn't know he did the videos.
you have to, well, ask him, give him a call and ask him. But I think he did them all. But
Oh,
if it
that
was
would
an
be great.
earlier one, that might not be, I might not be aware of that.
Yeah.
Ask him, because I remember asking him that he should put a CD out of Janet.
Mm-hmm.
He has a recording that
He
he
did do that.
should, her voice should be helping
Yeah.
all of us now. And, you know, he hasn't done that
Oh, no,
either.
he did.
Because it's because he didn't, there wasn't any equipment. There was something about that. It was very hard to transfer it to something else, or I don't know. I'll talk to him about, I should know all these things. I'll
I
talk
had
to
one
him.
other question. When you mentioned going across the river on a raft, was it a
Mhm.
particularly wide river?
It wasn't too wide, but it wasn't too small either.
Because I was wondering, the Betwa River to go to Echura is one place you have to ford it, but there it's generally pretty small unless it's in flood stage. But you also have to cross the Betwa to go to Hamirpur city. And when you
Oh.
mentioned that you were all sleeping in a large area, I'm not sure when the Hamirpur building got built there, but was Ellen, was that there in when she was there?
Well, I was there in February of '74, and there was in the town of Hamirpur. That's where Meherpuri is, and there was some form of building there now. It's certainly been built up significantly since then.
Was
For
there a
example,
bridge across the Betwa at that time?
no. Well, the town of Hamirpur, on the Kanpur side, it's where two rivers
Yeah.
converge, the Jumna and the Betwa. And Baba came across on November 18th of '52. And each year the monsoon wipes out the bridge. And so they had to build a new bridge. And when Baba's car was the first to cross it, and it barely reached the other side, the bridge collapsed after Baba's vehicle reached the other side. But that's an aside from your question, and it doesn't sound to me like Susan did not necessarily come in from the Kanpur side. And I was trying to get a sense of whether she had crossed the Betwa near Echora, but her recollection is not clear about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But on behalf of the entire Baba family and worldwide community, we thank you for gifting Irwin and his crew the funds they needed to make those videos. Thank you very much.
I have a question. Hi, Susan, it's Rose.
Hi. Hi.
Yeah, I would have loved to hear, one time Gil Alvarado, the first I heard of Hamirpur, I was in Berkeley, he'd just gotten back, and he must have talked for like 3 hours about it. We sat on the floor.
Yeah.
He was just filled with it. But you were with dear Annie Bell. Who else were you with?
Well, see, Gil went the year before too. He might have been
No, who else were you with?
Okay, yeah, all the people there, I wrote it down. I think Hugh and Sue McClellan
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and Steve Esley, Annie Bell, Dennis McCabe,
Wow.
and Bill Cliff might have been there, but I'm a little, I think Bill Cliff was there too.
Yeah, yeah.
And Gil Alvarado. Yeah, there's just a few of us.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So here we are in 75, and you're picking Pukar up at the airport in your new car.
Yeah, Irwin and I drove up from Myrtle Beach, and in my brand new Volkswagen Aqua Blue Rabbit, and so we picked Pukar and Sitaram up at the airport, and it was really a sight. They looked like they came out from 2,000 years ago. They they had sheets wrapped around them, and they're holding staffs, and it was just, it was sandals, and it was just a sight to see. And they looked a little, especially Sitaram, looked a little culture shocked. And so we picked them up and put them in the car. And I remember driving with them, and Sitaram, owned a sweet factory, and he brought all these boxes of sweets. So he took that out and he kept giving me these sweets, and I was feeling sicker and sicker. But,
oh my God.
But, and then I remember him just trying to not really look forward, not even look out the windows. And then I see him look out the window, and he was just like, he shocked, like he never saw anything like it,
Oh, that's Sitaram. He was he was that beautiful one that was at Maribod, right?
Yes, he would.
He looked royal. He looked like royalty. He had a regal bearing, the one I remember.
Maybe, yeah.
There was Hiralal, and always sing as Avatar me and Baba, and there was Sitaram. Is it Gita or Sita? I think that was him.
Sitaram. He was from
Sitaram.
he was from Hamirpur.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, we brought him to New York, and we brought him to the apartment where they were going to stay. And I forget the name of the Baba lover whose apartment it was. But I had to show them the ropes. I had to show them how to use the bathroom, the bathtub and the toilet and everything. And
wow.
I mean, at first, I think they thought the bathtub you were supposed to squat and go to the bathroom in, which I remember. And but I had to say, no, that's not where you go to the bathroom. Anyway, yeah, it was like they walked out of the past, from 2,000 years ago or something.
I mean, tell me, was Pukar, did his hair look like he scrambled it during the night? I remember when he stayed at our place.
Yeah, it was like always kind of, yeah. I remember it always kind of messy,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. But then I don't think we drove them. I think where they were staying, the man drove them in his car to the Mela. And So at the Mela, I don't remember a whole lot. It was really wonderful and wonderful to hear Pukar speak. And yeah, I can't tell you much. I don't remember much about the Mela. So
Mhm.
that's all I remember.
Well, I'm going to jump in here and let everybody know that this Friday, the 50th anniversary of the Maine Mela, and it was a Japa Mela. And so we going to have at 1:30 Eastern Daylight Time, we're going to gather again on Baba Zoom for an hour,
Okay.
celebrate and reminisce about the Maine Mela. And so if you join us, perhaps we'll jog your memory a
Yeah.
little.
Yeah.
And
When is that Friday? You said
this Friday, August 8th,
at 8 o'clock? Oh,
at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 1:30 in the afternoon.
okay.
We started the JUP. We had the JUP of Baba's name going throughout the entire Mela.
Mhm.
And we started the JUP at 2 p.m. on Friday, August 8th. And so that's why this hour has been
Oh,
set aside to coincide
yeah,
with the commencement of that event.
yeah.
And you may recall Pukar and Sidram arrived a few minutes after 2, and we had started with the job on
Wow.
time. Well, we are greatly appreciative of your being with us, Susan, and
Thank
sharing
you.
your remembrances. And we also have another guest today, and that's Jim Hastings, Dr. James Hastings. So uh, if you'd like to unmute Jim and share what you can about your remembrances of being with Pukar, and in particular in Weimar. But you earlier you said that you had actually was primary companion for Pukar from Los Angeles. Uh, Jim, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, no, we can. Yeah.
I'm here. So, yeah, 1975, when this happened, I was living at the Box, the Meher Baba Information House, where the office and there are usually 6 or 8 people living there at any given time. And I guess we knew that Pukar was scheduled to come there, and he would be staying at the Box while he gave talks and so on. I don't remember being aware of that, but one day I'm at home alone, and the phone rings. I pick up the phone, and I think they asked for Peter Ravaza, who was living there also. And I said, well, he's not here. Can I do anything to help you? They said, yeah, we're calling from Los Angeles, and we have Pukar here, and we need somebody to drive him from Los Angeles to up to Oakland the day after tomorrow. And do you know anybody who could do that? Well, long story short, I thought, I can do that. So a day later, I'm driving down to Los Angeles, get to Los Angeles, find the address, go to pick up Pukar, and I'd met Pukar earlier. I was at the Amartithi in 72. But still, I was a little stunned to see him, wearing dhoti and kurta, chappals. So we get in the car and we start driving north. And I don't know about other people's experiences, but Pukar, when he had nothing else to do, he would just start chanting and start making up these verses and so on, and chanting and chanting. So he's doing that. I'm concentrating on driving. And so we start going. I remember very clearly our first stop for gas was outside of Bakersfield. Bakersfield is a very rough town, cattle town, oil town, and so on. And so Picard decided to get out and walk around. And so he's wandering around and really accumulating quite a crowd of people around him as he's walking around this gas station in Bakersfield. But we take off. We're scheduled to stop in Fresno, where he's supposed to give a talk. And one thing I want to emphasize is very quickly I became aware that he was not just riding along passively. If you must recall that Baba had used the metaphor of laying cables. When Rustam Irani was sent to England ahead of Baba, he was seen as laying cables. When Herbert Davy went to China, he was seen as laying cables. So I like to think that Pukar was consciously laying cables. That is to say, as we're driving along Interstate 5 going north, every time I would pass a car, he would very deliberately turn to his right and try to make eye contact with the people in the car. Whenever we were passed by a car on the other side, he would lean forward and look at the people in the car. And so the whole trip, he was constantly just looking at who was passing and trying to make some kind of contact with them. So we get to Oakland, and pretty soon I became his basically arrangement walla. I was responsible for his food. I was responsible for his travel, for his appointments. And so a lot of people wanted to cook meals for him and bring food, right? And they would ask Pukar, oh, can I bring some food on such and such a date? And pretty soon, all he would say is, ask Brother Jim, ask Brother Jim. And so I became kind of the secretary. Then other people started approaching him and saying, can you come by my house and visit? Ask Brother Jim, ask Brother Jim. And so there were a couple of days that was just spent driving around from house to house. And he had a very particular system. When we would come to the house of a Baba lover, they would usually greet us at the doorway. He would go into the living room. He would look around for a picture of Baba, and he would start saying prayers. And then they might show him around the house a little bit. And then he would say, find some cookies, some fruit, something, and have them bring that out. And he would individually hand that out as prasad to whoever was there. So this went on and on and on and on. People would bring food to up to the box for him to have. I had to start to sort of monitor that, because I remember one day coming home, and one of the women who lived in the box was very excited. She said, "Oh, I found a great vegetarian food for Pukar, and he's never had it, and he loves it." And I said, "Well, what is it?" She says, "Jello."
Oh.
And so I have to pull her aside and say, "Sorry, but Jello is not vegetarian." Anyway, so that went on. I forget how long he was in the Bay Area. 10 days, 2 weeks, something like that.
Jim,
Yeah.
from Los Angeles, before you reached Oakland, I believe you and Pukar made a stop in Fresno.
In Fresno, right.
And it was with Tony and Jackie Allen, who were living there at the time. I believe they're in Walnut Creek now. And Tony had told me that Pukar had a harmonium with him, and that he was chanting and playing a lot of music at that meeting, at the gathering at their home that one night. Do you have any recollection of that?
I'm a total blank.
That's okay.
Yeah, I remember being there. I remember there were probably about 15 or 20 people who came. And we had a good time, but otherwise I'm kind of blank, yeah.
That's quite
So
all right. Understandable.
what I do remember is again having to do with this idea that Pukar was consciously making some kind of connections.
Yes.
One day I took him by Holy Foods, which was run by Alan Talbot and other partners. They wanted him to come by. I know we also went one day to Mick Hamilton's chiropractic office, and he kind of blessed that. But in Holy Foods, we were kind of shown around and so on. And then Pukar started just walking up and down the aisles of in Holy Foods. And in one aisle, he just stopped and kind of stood and looked as though he was just waiting for something. About a minute later, a woman turns into the aisle, sees this guy, and comes up to him and asks him, "Who are you? What are you doing here? What's this about?" He tells her, "I'm here for Mayor Baba, blah, 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 blah." And she leaves, and he turns around and says, "Let's go." About the same time, I don't know if it was the same day or another day, we're driving past the Berkeley campus, and he sees the dome of International House. He wants to know, what is that? What is that? I was there with, in the car was Mark Murray and maybe one or two other Baba lovers. And we tell him, "Oh, that's International House. That's where international students gather," and so on. He says, "I want to go see it." Well, parking was really difficult, so I kind of find a place. I sit in the car, and the two or three of them go with Pukar to International House. And they come back about 12, 15 minutes later. I say, later they tell me what happened, and what happened was more or less the same thing. Pukar walks into the main atrium of the International House, walks up into the center of it, and just stops and looks, anticipating something. Students are walking by, some ignoring him, some looking at him because he's there in a dhoti and a kurta. And finally, a young woman comes up, introduces herself, an Indian student, introduces herself as a graduate student from India and wants to know, "Are you from India? What are you doing here?" And so he tells her what he's doing here. "I come representing Meher Baba, blah, 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 blah." And again, finishes the conversation and says, "Let's go." As though all of this was sensed, that this is the meeting, the connection he had to make. And that brings me, I guess, to the Weimar episode. I'm not sure, Marie. I watched the video with Marie, and I'm still not sure who arranged or why it was arranged that we would go up to Weimar. But but nonetheless, Pukar decided he wanted to do it. I was willing to drive him. And Raelia Lynn, who was hanging around at the time, asked if she could go with us. I said, sure, come along. So we ended up driving up to Weimar one day, arrived, I think, early afternoon, spent the time visiting and so on. He gave that talk that night. The next morning, we went to the school with the Vietnamese children and then came back the same day. One humorous event is when we were up in the Sierra Nevada, I stopped at a little kind of country grocery store, a gas station to get gas. I went in to pay. Aurelia Lynn, I guess, went into the restroom or something. And Pukar was just standing out by the car. And I come out and Pukar was gone. I start looking around everywhere for Pukar. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I've lost Pukar. And because there's just the road and then there's forest. And you know, Aurelia comes out and we're looking for Pukar. We can't find him anywhere. And finally we see in the trees, he comes out of the forest, the trees kind of tugging up his dhoti and so on. He obviously gone into the forest to pee. But so we get there. My remembrance is that we stayed at Marie's house, but maybe that it may have been some neighbor's house or something. I don't remember that. The one thing that stands out to me is the visit to the Vietnamese children. So as Marie said, there were probably 3, 4-year-old, maybe some 5-year-old children. She wanted to show us where she worked and so on. This is 1975. This is just at the end of the Vietnam War. Massive refugees coming from Vietnam. So we go into the classroom, and as I recall, the students are all kind of scattered out. They're playing with different toys, doing different crafts, and so on and so on. And we get a kind of explanation of what they're doing there and why they're there and so on. And, you know, the car kind of strolled among them a bit. And then when it became time to go, I guess we were really only there about 10, 15 minutes. He begins walking around to the children and very deliberately going from one child to another, putting his hand on their head. Put his hand on their head, hold it there a minute, move on. Another child does that to the whole class. And then it's time to go. Everyone's headed out. Maria's going out. The other teachers are going. Other people are going out. Raelia Lynn is going out. Pukar is going out. I'm coming behind Pukar. And Pukar just gets to the doorway of the classroom and he stops dead in his tracks. Doesn't say anything. He just turns around and starts walking back towards the back of the room. And if you remember, a lot of classrooms are set up with a kind of counter towards the back where they can do various kinds of things and so on. And there's a space behind the counter. And so I'm curious. I wonder what he's doing. And so I follow him. He very deliberately walks back to the counter, walks around the counter, and I follow and look down, and there's a little boy playing down there that he hadn't seen. In fact, that he had no way of knowing was there. And he bends down, touches the head of the boy, and then says, "Come on, let's go." Yeah. So, I guess
Precious.
my impressions is that almost everything he did was done very deliberately, consciously, as a kind of vehicle or representative for Baba.
Wow.
So after Weimar, you went back to the box?
Yeah.
Or
Back to the box for, again, I'm not quite sure of the time span there. It was a week, 10 days, 2 weeks maybe.
were you involved with Pukar after he left the Bay Area, the East Bay?
No, no.
You help him get up to the Northwest.
Well, I was thinking about that, and again, I can't remember how he got to the Northwest. I have the impression that maybe he flew from Oakland to Portland, but I'm foggy on that
I
aspect.
think Gil Alvarado may have mentioned that he had a bus pass that allowed him to travel anywhere in the United States, and that he very likely took a bus up to Portland, Oregon,
Yeah.
where he and Gil hooked up.
Anyway, that was my experience. Totally unexpected interaction with him.
Well, we are so grateful to you. You know, we've been sharing one another here on Hamirpur Tales for several months now. And until you showed up, thanks to Marie's video um, of Weimar, we had no idea. No one could remember how Pukar got from the Los Angeles area to Fresno, and how he got from Fresno to the Berkeley area. And so that piece of the puzzle, that mystery, you have solved for us. So we are so grateful to you for your companionship with Pukar and your insight.
Did you want to say?
I don't want to go away. I want to say something before he leaves. This is enlightening to me because I don't remember.
Rosalie.
Hi, Jim. The Baba.
Baba.
We loved your insights.
Yeah. He stayed overnight at our house in Altadena, and I was drying his dhoti, this long cloth whipping around the dryer, and the bigness of his being, just
Actually,
big.
one of the things that struck me, he's in his dhoti and his kurta, and he's got a suitcase, right? As far as I could tell, all he had in the suitcase was a second dhoti and a second kurta. That was it, right? I mean, he was traveling light.
So I remember how struck he was with one of John and Judy Page's children, Rabia. And It's interesting. They grew up in the Baba family, and Rabia became, she married someone, and they do that kitchen, Jewish kitchen, where it's very divided and whatever. It's very specific how they do it. And the older girl, I mean, a couple years older, became a Catholic. And it is funny, you know, and they had all this influence. Audie staying there at the house, and Pukar, you know, right. Just beyond any sort of ritual religion, yeah. But he was, I don't even remember him talking or anything, but he just had a greatness about him, you know. And then I've heard, because I go to Baba Zoom Pratap talking about things, and also reading in Lord Mayher. I mean, he was very against Baba, and he came to Mahabaleshwar to speak his piece, and he totally he stripped down and laid everything there and total namaste in front of Baba. That was that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jim, Marie had called me to ask, she's having trouble getting, she doesn't have audio on her computer, but she
Okay.
wanted to thank you. And she also said that you remembered, there were things that she didn't remember the same as you. She was really glad for you to clarify, especially that beautiful story about the little boy who was left behind in the classroom under the desk.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she's thanking you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I know, she forgot that I was there, but that's okay.
Well, now she knows. Put the pieces together.
Yeah. It's funny because just some of those things I remember stand out. You know, if you ask me of all the talks in Fresno and Oakland and Weimar, what does he say? No idea.
Yeah.
No memory.
Oh.
That was only 50 years ago, so.
Seems like you remembered his presence.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Good old Pisces picks up on the presents, right?
Yeah.
That
Well, I felt honored, I guess, for him to just keep referring to me as Brother Jim, and
I love it.
and sort of made it clear that, you know, his whatever he's doing, it's up to me. You know, it's up to me to organize it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Sounds like you did a great job.
Well, you know, I'd send him off in one piece, right? Yeah.
Yeah, for a ad hoc, you didn't know, but you had last spur of the moment trip. That was, yeah.
Yeah. Well, a few years later, I had the same sort of position with Adi K. Irani when he was staying in Oakland.
Mhm. Wow.
Because he was traveling with Jack Small.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so when they got to Oakland, Jack Small wanted to take a break for as long as he was there, 10 days or 2 weeks, to go visit his father who lived in Palo Alto.
Oh.
And so I don't know how I got chosen, but I got sort of picked and said, well, you can take care of him and make his tea and drive him where he needs to go, and so on, so on, so on. So that was another.
Seems like Baba had specific plans in mind.
Yeah, I'd say you're an opportunist, Jim.
Yeah, yeah.
A lucky
yeah.
opportunist.
I had a little glimpse of what it might have been like to
Yeah.
be in that position. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, folks, we are coming now into Artie time, so we need to wrap it up.
We're drawing to a close here. And want to thank our guests, Susan White and Jim Hastings, so much for being with us today. Once again, reminder of the 50th anniversary celebration of the Maine Mela this Friday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So that'll be at 10:30 in the morning for we out here on the West Coast.
Baba Zoom. Baba Zoom, are you saying?
Yeah. Baba Zoom. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's on the calendar. And we will now, it's time for us to have our three J's and turn the Zoom over to the evening Artie. So here we go. Avatar.
Avatar.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Stop the recording.